Hello and welcome to the Daily Combat Podcast. This is my first time doing an introduction and I'm feeling like I'm going to start that again. Round two.
Too late, I'm ready for that one.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Combat Podcast. I am joined here today by two extraordinary arm wrestlers. We have Matt Hollywood Connelly. He indeed has an arm that he is showing you right now. I believe he actually has two.
That is a split bicep.
Another man with two arms to my right is Dave Stockbridge, the man with a gavel. And today we will be talking about all things.
And who are you?
Oh, and myself. Yes. Hello, my name is Izzy. It's a pleasure to be here.
The woman that requires no introduction.
I don't know how to introduce myself. I've never had to do it before.
Give yourself the full pump up, if you had to.
I'm so bad.
Yeah.
Yes.
Injured a stone. Hospitalized a brick. I'm so mean, I make medicine sick. I'm bad, man.
Yeah.
I'm fast.
That's right. Turn off the light, you're in bed before the room went
turned
dark.
That's about it. I done rustled with a whale. I done tussled with an alligator.
You ran a 70-kilometer Mickey Rourke before you came in.
And walked 70 Ks.
Yeah. So what was that for? That was an army thing.
That was for last year. I was very, very lucky to have the experience of a mock SAS selection.
So torture. In other words.
Yes. Yeah. So I was
lucky
very
to be tortured.
Very lucky. Yeah.
Very lucky. Yeah. The things that we did and the things that I got to do are things that I never could have imagined myself doing.
Yeah.
And it's also really kind of
all things illegal in any other workplace. I imagine you can't do that to employees, by the way. Yeah.
Absolutely. Like we had to sign death waivers and all that.
Did you really? Did you actually?
I was prepared to die.
Wow.
Yes,
You were?
I'm pretty sure death was on there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, just glided past that bit. Maybe there was death.
It might have been.
I'm pretty sure that there was definitely serious grievous bodily harm.
Was there any kind of medical? Did they put you through a medical for that? And so just make sure.
Not everyone passed that either.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there was a fitness test and there was a medical. The fitness test we did was the same one that Special Forces did.
Wow.
Oh, really?
So
yeah.
that was pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah, that was pretty cool to know how you tee up and that sort of thing. And
Yeah. What was the fitness test? What do you have to do?
So for us, it was the beep test, which is traditional.
Hate the beep test. Yes.
Yeah, the good old beep test, push-up test, max push-ups. Oh, yeah, beep. Max push-ups in 2 minutes.
Yep.
Max.
What was
chin-ups.
yours? What was yours?
Oh, that's a good one. I can't remember.
8,000.
38.
I think it was 60.
38,000.
No, it has to be more than 65.
Really?
75.
Really?
No,
That's a lot.
I think it was
that is a
65.
lot.
Must be
That's
65.
more than I've done this year.
65 in a minute.
2 minutes.
In 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
That's plenty of time.
Yeah, I think it was,
That's a lot. That's awesome.
That is a lot.
Yeah.
And without break? So you're just going for the 2 minutes?
Yeah, you can't. There was a certain rest.
You couldn't relax and just flex in the mirror or anything like that, halfway through?
No, there was a certain resting position,
Let
but
me
it
make
wasn't
the most of this pump.
restful.
No.
The resting position
it's
certainly
fully
wasn't
extended, and then it's down to a fist
Yeah, it was
distance
something
from
like
the
that.
ground. Is
yes,
that correct?
very
Yeah.
specific, and that's what I like about those tests. Is I think if you're gonna test yourself in any way,
Don't do it
especially
in
with
CrossFit.
my athletes, especially for my athletes, it's about keeping consistent. Because, for example, if I'm going to test myself with push-ups, I'm always doing a cadence. That's how I'm doing it, because I know I could easily pump out double if I'm doing technique that's dubious or not the best.
That
but if
may
I'm
be
doing
CrossFit
cadence,
sanctioned,
yes,
for instance.
yeah, no, absolutely,
Kipping
absolutely,
push-ups.
Kipping, yeah, and for my pull-ups, that's entirely the case as well.
Were you allowed to kip in your pull-up or not?
No.
Oh, really?
I think I might have been the only chick who could do
And
pull-ups.
Wow.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure I was. Yeah.
And you, so that's a pull-up, so that's a overhand grip, thumb underneath or over the top? Thumb underneath?
My thumb's underneath.
Your
There was
thumb
no
underneath.
detail on that, but it was just overhand.
And so from a dead
Very
to
specific.
up.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and the guy I had was ex-army. He was very specific. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And
So
I mean,
he discounted. So it was quite funny because we had a little wouldn't to say it was an argument, but I would say there was a discussion about how many reps I got. So that's why I can't remember if it was 65 or 75, but I'm going to say it was probably 65.
In the push-up?
In the push-ups, because I filmed it because I wanted to make a video, because actually the production asked me to do a video wrap-up, which I never got around to doing. But I did post the whole push-up video without much editing.
Was
And
it just you doing push-ups?
Just me doing push-ups for 2 minutes straight.
Wow.
And but luckily I had that because in my head I'm counting and I knew I'd failed a few reps. Like they didn't go quite down far enough or my arms weren't extended right. So I knew I'd gotten the exact number that I had in my head. And I'm like, no, trust me, I've done this. And he thought I was just one of those people that was just like, oh, no, add an extra one. And I'm like, I'd never do that.
Yeah.
Integrity is huge to me. And especially what's the point in cheating yourself?
Yeah.
Anyway, so I knew I had that number. And I'm like,
What was the
camera.
standard that you had to meet?
I can't quite remember because it was like almost a whole year ago. But it was, I think it was, sorry. What was the minimum?
Yeah.
I've got no idea. They didn't. No, sorry, I thought you meant the standard as in what was the technique required.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Well, I do know, I think if you're actually going for the real army for special forces, off the top of my head, I think you're going to want at least 65.
Let's just set that as
the
a
amount that you
benchmark.
managed to
I
get.
can
That's
look at,
now
no,
called
wait.
the Izzy
I've actually
standard.
got it on my
Yeah.
I've actually got it on my phone.
Oh, cool.
Because
So the lowest numbers for someone else who did the SFET was 32 push-ups. And
you don't want those
this
people
person
defending
person got
the country.
70 this person got 76
Wow.
push-ups.
Rambo. That's amazing.
So it's around that. So I think the lowest numbers, the highest numbers were 100. This is for someone who sat this. Sat this, quite the opposite to the intense activity that was. And they got the lowest was, as I said, for that group of people was 32. But I'm not quite sure what the minimum is. Sorry, I do not know the answer to that.
A previous guest, Steve Maxwell, would say that, like as a benchmark, 20 pull-ups is thought to be a very strong person. If you can do 20 pull-ups, your own body weight, that's a very strong person. It used to be the gold standard for the military.
Wow.
Yeah. So how many can you do, Izzy? I'll go with Izzy and then
Go with Izzy first.
Yeah, and then you can maybe add a
Then
couple.
I'll go one above. Yeah.
I should do that. Well, actually, I'll be real. I'm pretty private about my max numbers, unless we're talking bench press, because I do
Because
feel
you can cheat with that.
yeah. I tell you my max bench press any day of the week, but at the moment, until I reach a certain number, I'm going to keep my chin ups.
Well, let's say what's your aspirational number? What do you think is achievable?
Let me just check the max that was done for this person. I reckon if the max this person saw was 16, I'm
Pull-ups.
That's very achievable.
Yeah.
Cadence pull-ups. I would feel pretty undefeatable if I could do 20 cadence pull-ups. I would feel body weight military standard cadence.
There was
pull-ups.
a period when your Instagram was just filled with
Just
you doing pull-ups.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's pretty. I'm pretty confident. Not confident. So I'm doing quite well with my pull-ups at the moment. Yes. Yeah. It's been a long journey. I remember. Yeah. It's quite funny because I remember when I was 14 or 15. I'm like, I really want to do a pull-up. We've got really old kid equipment in our backyard from when me and all my siblings were growing up. And there's a metal bar that used to have a swing on it. It's still just hanging on, it's still just got a bit of strength in it, so that I can, it's me standing with my arms up. It's quite short, but I can still practice my pull-ups. So that's where and obviously I was shorter back then, but that's where I did my first pull-up, and I would just hang off it, and I did negatives, and that's when I just remember how long it took me to do one. But when I'm at the gym and I'm doing my pull-ups, which obviously I've been doing now for a decade, because I taught myself how to do one when I was 15 because I really wanted to do one. It's funny the feedback I do get. I'm very grateful for that. But it does also kind of surprise me. I guess a lot of women maybe put that limit on themselves.
Yeah.
Thinking, it's not the status quo for me to be able to do a pull-up, and... Yeah, so in terms of where would I like to go, that's a really good question. I think I would feel so happy if I could do 20 and then up after doing that benchmark, then who knows, if I did 30, Jesus, then I'd be, that to me would feel pretty cool. But I don't know.
amazing.
My right shoulder from canoeing is, something I'm looking to strengthen right now.
There's a very impressive cinematic moment where Sarah Connor in the Terminator movie is doing a pull-up. And
Really?
I think it
I have
might
to
be
watch
the only pull-up in cinematic female pull-up in cinematic history.
Yeah.
But I just remember how impressed I was at Sarah Connor's physicality, and how much in talking about that moment later with my wife or seeing it, watching the movie with her, how impressive it was to her and how inspirational it was, and it became a thing of like, yeah, like you're a beast if you can do a pull up, you know, if you're a female. And it was like, wow, and it was almost like the doors had opened for females to pursue this, this exercise.
Absolutely. No, you're right. Yeah, it was one of the first sort of female roles where it was like that muscularity or that fitness.
Physicality,
was an important factor for her character, and it was such a
She was a physically tough woman.
That's right. Yeah, and it's such a stark contrast to the first film where she was, I guess in a way, the defenseless lady that needed somebody
Classic.
needed somebody to come and save her and protect her and look after her.
And like the first scene you see of her is, it's like, well, she don't need no protecting from anyone.
Right.
Like, you better fucking watch out.
That's epic. I love that.
That's what was such an awesome moment for her character development. For Sarah Connor to go from that first film where it was like, she was the person that needed assistance, needed somebody to look after her, help her, and then you've got the second film that came out, I don't know, maybe 10 years later or something, and it was like your first moment of seeing her. It's like, oh Jesus, she's changed completely. Like she knows how to look after herself. She's taken this seriously, and she knows how to fire weapons, and she's been training like non-stop. So,
and it's interesting because if you were directing that movie, there would have, and you've got to think of a way that in a moment you had to communicate that a woman was physically empowered. Yeah. What an interesting way to do it, because from my memory, I can't think of any other time in cinema where that's occurred before. But how immediately impressive.
Yeah.
You just got this 3/4 view of the back. You can see she's pulling up of her own volition, and it's like it's just one positive movement from memory as well. It's just like, and then she drops, and you go, whoa, well, okay.
I have to watch that.
Linda Hamilton, and
Linda Hamilton,
and then she escapes the mental institution, or attempts to beating the crap out of
everyone.
Pretty much. But funny in that
Terrible
film,
time to be a henchman.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, when's a good time to be a henchman? But so she, in that film, she has a twin sister in real life, and they were doing a scene which actually ended up getting cut from the cinematic release, where they had Arnold Schwarzenegger as the Terminator, and you've seen Terminator 2, haven't you? Yeah. Okay, never mind. Anyway, there's a scene where
there's a movie called Terminator.
Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger. Have you heard?
He plays a robot.
I'll be back.
That's where this line is from. So anyway, but in this scene, they cut a section of his head. They drill into it. Obviously, it's film, so whatever. But and then to take out, and then they pull out the CPU to reset it and put it back in. But to film that, because they wanted to do it in a certain angle, they needed
to cut his skull away.
Pretty much. Yeah. No, that's why he speaks the way he speaks. No, but it was a mirror. So the image that they wanted to create in that scene. So Jim Cameron, who is the director, he wanted to have the shot from behind. So you would see Arnold sitting here, and then Arnold there, like as a mirror image. But obviously, you can't drill into somebody's head. So they would have the fake body double, an animatronic thing here. Yeah. And then they had Arnold sitting there facing the camera. So, but his movement and his positioning matched the dummy. He didn't have to move, so that was fine. But then they had Sarah Connor, who had to move around and do stuff. And that was like, he couldn't figure out how he was going to do this scene. He was going to cut this scene because he's like, I don't know how I'm going to film it. And then she says, I've got a twin sister. And he's like, what? And, So they went through and they coordinated their movements. So you can see it's in the director's cut or whatever. But so they've got this scene where they're moving, and it's shot from one angle, and it's like they have synced up their movements as to what they're going to do. So it looks like it's in a mirror, but it's actually
That's
two different
cool.
people. But
very
it just happened to be lucky enough that she had a twin sister
Fuck.
that they could use
Sisters
for that
loving the
scene.
gig.
Yeah.
And what was the pull-ups like? It was
Well, she probably, I think she had to wear a jacket or something because
Okay.
obviously Linda would have looked quite a lot buffer than. Well, they got married after that. Linda Hamilton
and a sister?
No,
Oh.
yeah,
That's what it sounded
that's
like.
right. No, Linda Hamilton and Jim Cameron.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, and how did that end? Yeah.
It ended badly.
In badly. Oh, well. I was hoping for a happy ending.
Me too.
So-
I always am.
I was happy for a little while.
Okay, that sounds really bad. Gotta cut that out. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, so,
So-
that's what I was saying. Right?
Anyway.
So yeah, but maybe
But
Sigourney
pull-ups.
Weaver in Alien, she was maybe a female lead protagonist that was quite strong, brave, proficient with weapons.
Yeah.
Before was that before or after?
That would be before, but I don't recall any pull-ups as a result of any of that, though. So, but
Your standard is pull-ups.
it was just interesting that of James Cameron's creative genius, of all the things that he thought to denote feminine masculinity by and feminine physical empowerment with, was a negative pull-up.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I love that. Like, I've got to say, just doing it, like, especially, having travelled a lot for sport, so being given the opportunity to train in different gyms, like in different cultures and all of that, it has been something that, I do notice, I'll get comments about it or, even just looks and I'm like, this is so funny because to me it's so simple, which reminds me of when I was just, sometimes I like doing pull-ups in different locations.
Just for fun.
Yeah, and
Just so other people can
these
see.
these are probably
Middle.
I'm a bit of a show off. No. I like training. Okay. No, there's probably my two funny pull up stories would be at the Old Sea and Vines Festival, which was cancelled due to drunk and disorderly behaviour. And someone
People were just hanging from the rafters
we're
doing
doing
pull-ups.
pull-ups.
Okay, so this is quite funny. So I saw, I just saw a beam, right? And I hadn't been able to train because we had to be up early to catch the bus to go to this. And this is my first ever wine tour. And my friends convinced me to come. I don't, as an athlete, don't drink that much usually. There's a bottle of scotch on the
Just
table.
that
Don't
bottle,
get
yeah.
any ideas.
Just one a day.
Just want to take.
Just to thin
Keeps
the
the
blood.
pain away. Yeah.
Bad memories,
Exactly.
they return.
Yeah, exactly. And so I see this wooden beam. All right. So I'm at this winery with my mate, and I see this really nice looking beam, and I'm like, damn, it looks like a good beam. Like I reckon I could do a really nice pull up off that. Like sometimes you look at things like in this room, there's absolutely nothing.
No
but,
inspiration.
But sometimes you look at some things and you think, God, I'd love to try doing a pull up from that.
Let's see.
Really.
Yeah, can I? I wonder what the
I?
grip's like.
Yeah, I wonder what it feels like. I wonder
Yeah.
what muscles I'm going to work. How
Am I going to get splinters?
I think I did get a splinter on that one. Anyway, so there's even like your classic, your classic picnic style table there. So I stand on that and I go to do pull-ups.
Sorry, how many wines was this after? Just
Who knows?
This was
Okay.
cancelled. Drunk and disorderly. But
So my friend is filming, right? So if you imagine this, just picture
Hang on.
this.
So this is a wine festival. You're probably dressed according. So you're not really in gym gear, I'm guessing.
No, I was wearing a jumpsuit though, so pretty appropriate for working out.
Okay, nice.
Pretty appropriate for
Nice
jumpsuit.
Always ready.
Was
is
this
he?
the 80s?
Always ready.
Was it the 80s? And were you
Matt, I don't even Anyway,
starring in a Mark Wahlberg film clip?
don't even talk to me about Mark Wahlberg right now. We won't go into the fact that I got paid to live for 24 hours as Mark Wahlberg.
Did you?
Yes.
What is
That's
this?
why I got
Every
into
time we talk to you, you reveal some layer of some.
That was probably the
insane thing
funniest
you've
job I ever
done.
had.
What?
get
What
into
is, you
this.
I
can't
got
just
paid.
skip over that.
No, we gotta come back to it. I gotta tell you the
No,
full
we're not
story.
circling back
Okay,
in 10
all right, let me
seconds.
tell you about this job I had once.
Anything could happen.
I had a job
Okay.
where I was scouted, and the job was
So you were scouted. Explain to
approached.
the kids. So as scouts, somebody's come to you
someone
out of the
sent
blue.
me this message.
So out of
All
the
the
blue.
kids
From
that are
an
watching.
anonymous, no. So basically, it's a pretty big company called VTRND, and they
Okay.
do some of the really big videos that you see on Snapchat and YouTube. So things like, I live 24 hours like this person, but before they did that series, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, like, meet this bodybuilder, the world's strongest guy, the world's strongest female, blah blah blah. They do
Hollywood
those
Matt Con.
those sort of videos, those quick bit things that you see come up on social media, quick
so the
entertaining
content
videos.
creators and yeah.
Yep. And basically the job was that you didn't know who you were going to live like but you were going to get paid to live. Yeah, that's the bit that got me.
Yeah.
To spend 24 hours to the dot of a famous person. With the catch that you don't know who it is until the day before when a box of goods arrives that you'll be using when you live like that person.
Okay. Oh.
And I can't remember when I found out, but I think it was probably obviously like the day before, because you had to obviously plan a bit what you were going to do. I had Mark Wahlberg and I had no idea much about Mark Wahlberg other than Ted.
Right.
And
he's a dedicated Catholic. As far as I'm aware.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then the box of food from like Woolworths arrived, and it was like
Protein
heaps
shake.
of protein. Turkey. Now, I'll just summarize the most interesting things of living like Mark Wahlberg.
Oh, so they knew what his diet was, and so
everything.
They gave so
everything. So I was supplied everything, and I also but it was so much effort for me. Fortunately not.
Just a singlet. Singlet shorts.
And I put a lot of effort into carrying this bloody tripod everywhere. My friend Josh Matitzi of Matitzi Strength and Conditioning, he or fitness, he is a great coach, and he let me film at his gym. And then also -110 Adelaide Cryotherapy helped me out for the cryotherapy session. That
big shout out to those guys.
Yeah, shout out to them. And it was just he wakes up, it was very early. I can't remember if it was 3 or 4. Then it was meditation. Then the funniest thing was he has a really, really long second shower. Like his first shower is like 20 minutes, but the second shower, which is after the first workout of 4 workouts, is like an hour, right? And I couldn't work out to myself. I'm like, how does one spend an hour in the shower? But then I worked it out. These celebrities don't have showers like we do. They have shower rooms where one can sit, kind of like you
hang out,
like in a sauna. So that's probably what he was doing, like reading books or whatever. I don't know, expanding his ever-expanding brain. I'm actually going to continue going into detail about this now, because I want to share this in the hope that Mark Wahlberg might see this one day and sponsor me unlimited burgers at his new opening Wahlburgers chain in Australia.
It's
for
coming
the
soon.
fact that I spent 24 hours living like him to the T, and they didn't end up using the footage.
Are you serious? What is that with you?
Would you be prepared to eat Mark Wahlberg's burgers for 24 hours on the hour?
Sure.
Just
absolutely. I would
You
just
heard it
walk
here.
200
Mark
kilometers.
Wahlberg.
Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
Mark.
Wahlburgers.
Oh, he doesn't like that.
Yourself,
Oh, he doesn't like that.
Oh, sorry, we'll change
You've
that.
ruined your
Take that back.
chance.
You're going to have to take that out. Why doesn't he like that?
It's from when he was like Marky Mark was the
But
Marky
he was
Mark
a
and the
rapper
Funky
like
Bunch.
me.
What's the Funky Bunch?
What's wrong
It's
with
Marky
that?
Mark
love
and the
that.
Funky
It's got
Bunch.
nostalgia now.
And it was the Good
Don't be
Vibrations
sensitive.
era.
Yeah, what's wrong with this?
He doesn't like it.
Are you sure? Okay, all right. We're going to have to
guarantee.
cut that out. Mark
Maybe
Wahlberg,
he's-
I'm sorry.
Maybe he's reconciled with it. We all go through that stage.
He hasn't.
Oh.
You're going to get sponsored. I'm going to send this to him via DM. Anyway, so...
It's Marky Mark at Instagram.
Yes, well, what else? I just got to say a shout out to Mark Wahlberg. Now, I don't know if he's going to offer this combo on the menu, but I think he should, because it blew my mind.
Huh.
So, for one of his meals, turkey tenderloins alone with a chocolate protein shake.
Oh, that sounds good.
I myself was not sure how this would taste, but together it just worked. It really
Yeah.
worked.
Yeah.
It really was so good.
Huh.
And I thought, I'm going to eat this more often.
All right. And have you eaten it since?
But perhaps, because I'm just a poor athlete, perhaps if I was
Yeah.
sponsored by Wahlburgers
Yeah.
when they come to Australia,
Maybe they've got chicken tenderloins on the menu.
They could.
he should have turkey tenderloins, because I made that and I was like, damn, this is surprisingly good.
He could get Schwarzenegger to co-promote with him, and then he could have a sandwich called the Steak and Egger.
Should be working in marketing, Matt. all right, let me wrap this one up. So yeah, that was pretty cool. It was a pretty intense day. Lots of working out. Huge game of golf.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, that was pretty fun. It was quite similar. It was interesting. It was pretty similar to how I live.
Pretty much the same, yeah.
Aside from the golf, the cryotherapy, the additional meals,
The 1 hour shower.
the 1 hour shower, the lots of protein, the getting up at like 3 or 4 a.m., the long time spent on meditation. Aside from all of that, I mean, I do some of those things, but not to that extent. Like, the meditation, very short, grateful moments in the morning and evening. But yeah, so for that, it was a good experience, and I felt like I did it.
It's really interesting when you kind of live to a routine of somebody else's routine who's highly successful, highly productive, and they do definitely have their little idiosyncrasies. But what did you get out of the meditation and the long showers? And it seems he's giving himself a lot of time to think.
I didn't do the 1 hour shower because I couldn't.
You couldn't
do it with the water.
Your fingers get a little funny.
Yeah, no. I think I may have tried to have a bath or something, but I couldn't do that level of time.
Yeah.
What did I make?
Maybe it's why it's so small.
Because it shrinks. He would actually be taller. If
yeah, it was. I think it was surprising to me how similar when I first read it. I was like, oh, these are all things that I do. I was really surprised, and obviously, he had perhaps some more time spent on those things that would bring peace to your mind or whatever. And I guess I'm not at that stage yet where, obviously I do not have the finances, or I'm not complete in my study and other things that I could allow myself that time. There's a great question for everyone when it comes to time management that the sports development program I had, and it was, if you had one extra day in the week, what would you spend it doing? Or if you had an extra hour in every day, for me, I would spend that time with friends and family and doing nothing. That's how I would spend that if
you had that extra hour.
So I guess him waking up early, he's kind of got almost that time for, but he does spend a lot of time doing the golf, and he's also got heaps of time there for his family. He made, I think it was picking up the kids or something, I'm not sure. And there was that time to do that. So I guess it was pretty interesting, and I would if I had the opportunity, if I was getting paid to do it, I'd definitely do it for other people.
And they didn't. So you went through this whole thing, this whole horrible Marky Mark experience.
It was
getting
pretty
up
intense,
at 3 o'clock
It was pretty
morning,
intense. It was a huge day.
Turkey, protein,
and
they
also
didn't even
all
film
the
it.
businesses, the local businesses got involved. Again, shout out to Josh Matitsi and -110 Cryotherapy and whoever else got involved. I think it was just those two people. Oh, the golf club, North Adelaide Golf Club. Thank you. But it was very intensive, and I think what happened was probably I had so much footage. Maybe other people were better at cutting, but I sent almost 24 hours of footage.
Wow.
So that was probably it. Yeah, my favorite thing was a month later, I was like, oh, hey guys, I was just wondering how things are going. She's like, oh yeah. I was like, did you get all the footage? Did I upload properly? And the lady was like, hi Isabella, yes, we've got all the footage. Thank you. I was also worried, did I film something that wasn't meant to be in there or something? Did something make it in?
All the footage.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, did something make it in that wasn't?
The 1 hour shower.
Yeah. Wow. So that was my life as Mark Wahlberg. So dear Mr. Wahlberg, from the bottom of my heart, if you hear this, it would be nothing but, it would fill my whole life with joy and nothing but appreciation for you if you were to offer me a lifelong sponsorship of Wahlburgers, as I feel like, my payment for the 24 hours I spent living your life.
It sounded like a pretty good,
or at least a meal
day,
deal.
No, it was.
Yeah.
It does sound all right.
It was a pretty good job out of all the jobs I've had. Yeah.
If you were going to pick a celebrity, that sounds pretty good. Did you find out what some of the other people did?
I didn't, but when I saw something on Instagram and it was like Wahlburgers coming to Australia, and then I looked up 24 hours as Mark Wahlberg, and a few people have done it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I thought, legally this company owns the footage of me doing it, but I think it would be maybe a great experiment to do this if someone had the time and the finances. This book I'm reading by, I think it's Jim Quick, Limitless, is again talking about those things. His focus is more on the limits we place on ourselves, but in it he mentions, obviously the power of routine and
ritual.
things that unite people who have great success in the areas that they pursue.
Yeah.
And routine is undeniably a huge thing. And there's another book I really want to read called Atomic Habits, which you may have heard of already, that I'm really keen to read. And that's, again, talking about routine. And it'd be something we should talk about routine.
Routine's a really interesting thing to me.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know if we should do a whole podcast on that. If not
Routine
now,
ritual.
because I feel like we'll talk forever.
Well, I would think that if somebody was
have to
going
make
to
some
do...
calls.
Yeah. Well, if somebody
Let's
got...
talk about routine. Anyway, go on. Yeah.
If somebody got that task and they're like, you've got to live like Isabella Rositano for a day, I think that you would be doing a lot of similar things. I mean, you're doing all sorts of challenges and all
Yeah.
sorts of crazy,
Yeah.
adventurous things all the
Yeah.
time, which
Yeah.
is amazing. It's like every time we talk to you, you reveal these the insane things that you've done, and it's like no one else has
I
done
get
these
this feedback
things.
a lot. I'm
It's
like,
great. I think it's fantastic.
I
Yeah.
liken it to if I'd met somebody down at the pub and it wasn't you and it was just a dude and they were telling me, did 70 Ks yesterday,
Yeah.
and then the next minute, I lived 24 hours as Marky Mark. Yeah. Oh yeah, did you, mate? Right.
I actually think people who I've just met have definitely thought that about me. 100%. I know it. I can tell when someone's thinking. I can see it in their face. I've had that a few times. It's that look. They're like, no, I do not believe this girl does this stuff. And it's quite funny because on the
and then they're just nice to you, just hoping you'll go away.
And then on the opposite spectrum, it's the people who know me who are like, what are you doing now? Like the messages I get when friends want to catch up, like, what are you doing? Like, where are you in the world? What are you doing?
Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
Well, that's it. I mean, we've been trying to nail you down to get you back on the show for about 6 months. And it's like, where are you now? I'm in New Zealand. Oh, I'm over here. I'm doing this. I'm doing shark
picking
diving.
I'm in isolation.
Mango picking.
Life is so
I'm
short.
fighting a bear tomorrow. Yeah.
I would like to fight a bear, but I don't want to hurt the bear.
Yeah.
A bear that had done some injustice to the world.
Right.
Yeah, maybe if you could find a
dictator.
A criminal bear.
a bad bear.
A bad bear.
A bad
it's
bear.
not-
A malicious bear.
Khabib Nurmagomedov, which is a hard word to say.
Very
or
difficult.
two sounds there. But,
And an even harder bear to fight.
yeah, it is. It is. So he used to wrestle bears.
Yes.
In not Kazakhstan. Dagestan.
Dagestan.
You
Yeah.
guys with your knowledge.
That's
Dagestani
right.
region.
But there is him, a video of him being reunited with the bear that he used to wrestle.
Oh,
and
really?
having another wrestle with him.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's a very
Gentle,
friendly,
friendly,
obviously the bear doesn't know really what's going on. And
Yeah.
But the funny moment of that video was, they went for maybe, I don't know, a minute and, Khabib's sort of moving him around, whatever. But then when Khabib separates, he goes for the high five.
High five the bear. Like the bear
bear's
understands.
What? He must be so used to doing that with his training partners that he's done it automatically.
That is
It's
pretty
like,
funny.
you do realize that's a bear.
But the bear just went, yeah, right.
Bear was so going, are we still wrestling? What's going on? Am I supposed to eat you now?
That's pretty good. I'd love to see that.
Yeah. But yes, your challenges that you've done, it's crazy. It's like every time we talk to you, I still don't know what you actually did. You went. I want to get the timeline right.
All right. Let's try and piece
SAS
this
Australia.
together. SAS.
SAS. Hell Week.
Hang on. Yes, that
Yes,
happened.
did that.
We can
Yes.
confirm.
That was on
Finally,
TV.
it's aired.
It's
It's
out
been
there.
out there.
It's out
you
there.
were on the show and it was there.
Yeah.
With Ant Middleton.
longer so.
Ant
And
Middleton.
yes. Right. So
Yeah.
then from there you went,
special
it's your boyfriend
times.
now. Okay.
I actually, you know what? I never really fully understood that phrase. It's just like I have a soft spot for someone.
Soft
And I
spot.
would describe that as a soft spot for Ant because it's like, I just see him as like a mentor, like real like kind of father figure, but also almost like a brother figure as well. Like just someone so like I felt when we communicated and like especially towards the end and after, at the very end, I could tell that he kind of knew who I was. He knew I would never give up and he admired that and
Awesome.
that communication was just like, you've done a good job. And to hear that and to hear someone like him tell me that I'm strong, that's what's changed to me, my life. Like I know, a lot of people, we shouldn't throw around like that changed my life or this too much. But to me, that did because it was the first time I had someone who I felt wasn't like, a bias. Actually, it's not a comment. As we talked to a podcast before about, external validation and all that, and I would say that I don't get that a lot. I definitely haven't. Like growing up, I got none. So to have someone look me in the face and say you were so strong, and to have that person be Ant Middleton and Billy Billingham. Sorry, Birmingham or Billingham? That's Billingham, I think. I always get confused. They cut the interrogation scene, but we discussed my sport and my sports journey. And, you know, I had both of those guys tell me, you're an athlete. That's what you're meant to do. You go back and you keep going and you are strong, as I said. And that just blew me away because it was so like, I couldn't believe it. If they think I'm strong, then I must be. And that's what gave me a fire, and that's what brought it back for me. And I'm so grateful for that. And yeah, in terms of, as I said, with Ant, like at the end, you know, to have a hug from him, like, I definitely have a soft spot for him. Absolutely,
awesome.
I
That's
do.
fantastic.
Yeah, and I would definitely encourage anyone to, you know, to get into, like, you know, find out what books he's written and read them, or go and visit his tours in Australia. I probably, unfortunately, won't be able to make one, but I hope that people listening to this will, because he is an extraordinary individual. And when I read the book Limitless, and even before that, there was another book which came to mind that I read, but I think he's one of those individuals that, you know, that understands that. And I think that's almost something like, you know, we're not scared of failure.
Right.
And I think maybe even, you know, you're the same. And that's something which, that I felt like,
Yeah.
And the best thing a mutual friend said the other day was he thinks that we're cut from the same cloth.
Oh, that's
said
awesome.
you and Ant look cool together. Looks like you're cut from the same cloth.
Yeah.
And I thought,
Nice.
I smashed the rest of my workout after that. I was like, yeah. So that was for me easily one of the best things I've ever done.
amazing.
I'm so grateful for the experience, and I can't believe I got to do that.
Yeah.
Like climbing into a helicopter after jumping out of a speeding boat. Like, who gets like what the
Yeah.
Thank God for
You've
Channel
done some
7.
amazing
It
stuff.
really is incredible.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm glad that you get to do these opportunities, and
Thank
that
you.
you've taken it on and said, I want to go and do as many things as I
Yeah.
possibly can and enjoy life to
Yeah.
its fullest.
Absolutely.
And you're not going to let anything sort of hold you back, or
Yeah.
there's no obstacles to, you know, restrict you from doing these things. And that's where, you know, you'll have so much more life experience. How old are you now?
26.
Yeah. So, you know, an average 26-year-old compared to the stuff that you've done, like, it's just like, well, somebody might have got a job and, you know, they've been in that job for 10 years or something. And now, you know, compared to the stuff that you've done and the things that you've seen and the places you've been, like, mentally, and the challenges that you've faced, it's just like, it's chalk and cheese. It's like, yeah, it's crazy. And it's great. Like, I'm a big admirer of everything that you do, and I love watching those selection courses. Like, I go through you know, binges of it on YouTube, and you know, all
me
the
too.
different sort of army stuff,
love
or
it,
the
yeah.
ranges,
I love it, yeah.
and seeing
I'm
people
for it.
push themselves to
Yeah.
the absolute breaking point.
Yep.
And you that's where you really do find the people that have that strength of character, and the ones that melt away. And it's like, you know, the people that they are relying on in those positions of military, where it's like, you need to get the job done no matter what happens. If your leg falls off, whatever, you got to get the job done.
Yeah.
No
And
excuses. That's the job. Get it done. Like, we're employing you to do that. So, you know, the people that are going through these courses, or these difficult or adversity moments, and they're quitting or whatever, it's like, well, good. I'm glad you quit, because we didn't want you in that position where we were relying on you to do something, and you were going to quit. So, you know, if you have that mindset of, I'm never going to give up, that's the people that you know, become the champions of the world.
So what makes you want to push yourself to the point that you're going to be sick, to the point that you're going to cry, to the point that you think you can't go any further, to the point where you ache, to the point where you're sore? What makes you want to do that?
Great question, Dave. I think there are two things. I think I've got a
Because I don't want to.
That's great.
Why don't you?
Because it will hurt.
I feel like you push yourself professionally, actually, in a similar way. I would say
Maybe.
you both do. Matt never sleeps, so he's pushing himself in the same
Dave
way.
is very cagey about how hard he actually works, but yeah, he's a champion.
I
in
think
his own right.
I'd say you. I think everyone does, certainly, like, perhaps, you know,
But
there are different ways you can
it is a
apply
different thing, because what you're doing, you're confronting your fears, but you're also deliberately pushing
So
yourself beyond you're putting yourself in a position where, you know, you're going. Most people, when they put themselves to the test, they or they go to achieve something, they don't necessarily do so knowing that they're possibly putting themselves through something they might not be able to get through. And in this situation, you don't necessarily know what's going to be thrown at you. You don't know, is it going to be a fear of heights? Is it going to be a trapped underwater? Is it going to be just a sheer fatigue? And is it going to be like a particular dangerous situation? Is it going to be a psychological circumstance? Is it going to be claustrophobia? These are all the things that you were confronted with, and which are all very unique. But one thing that they do have in common is that it pushes you toward your fears as much as anything. What is it within you that makes you want to do that more than most people would ever want to?
Well, after doing it, I'll just say, like, after doing it, it's become something that I feel like it's like necessary for my growth. And at that, each time I do that, it grows so much. Why did it first start? Well, I'd say it started ages ago. I'd say almost when I was, it'd be like when I was probably like a teenager. I think I want to seeing where your limits lie, as said before, gives you huge growth. That's huge to me. Secondary, since I was very young, I had a huge appreciation for life is so short and we don't know what could happen. So chasing an experience for me, like this cup nut, chasing an experience where if I were to go tomorrow, what would I have wanted to do today? You know, that's, so for me, it's, half of the things I'd want to do would be, absolute just trying to kill myself, like through physical challenge. Like how long can I row for on a stationary ergo? When I was 16, I think it was, I decided to see how long I could do that. It went for 24 hours.
Wow.
It started really quite young. I think it was even before that, I went for a world record, or maybe it was a bit after. I went for a world record attempt for the heaviest weighted plank, which I've got, but unfortunately I didn't have the weights in a backpack, so I didn't make the book. Like Biggie, it was very specific, and I definitely won't do that again for the injury risk. I would not be doing that again. But I did when I was, again, a teenager, I did 100 kilos or something ridiculous like that as a weighted plank for a minute.
Wow.
Yeah, and I've still got that. I'll have that footage on a laptop somewhere, but it wasn't counted again because the weights weren't in a backpack, unfortunately.
So silly.
Yeah, so that was a bit disappointing. But I think... Yeah, I think that's it, and especially like, I mean, SAS.
So it was kind of in your DNA, young to challenge yourself physically.
Yeah, definitely. I think like even with one of my close friends, we were doing 100K relays at school, 50K relays. Would get up at had to get up at 6 a.m. to be part of this team. So that started when I was in school, and
what's the furthest you may have run at one particular
70
time?
70Ks.
Okay. That was just to get here.
That was like 3 weeks ago,
Yeah, that was on the
podcast.
22nd of December. I did 70Ks. My goal, I think, was 50Ks or something. But why was it? Why did I go to 70? Something just... Why would I go to 70 specifically?
I think, wasn't it, there was a certain challenge with the army.
That's right. It was the SAS challenge. Yeah, thanks. Like why the hell would I do 70K? Yes. So there's an association for ex-Special Forces members in Scotland. They were running a challenge. It was actually meant to be for January, but I decided I really wanted to do it because shark diving was cancelled. So I did it with no preparation and probably lack of supplies.
Just as well for the sharks.
Shark diving
They'd be
was
fucking
cancelled.
destroyed, those sharks. The sharks are like, fucking thank Christ.
Yeah, that's what someone said. The sharks get scared. Because I'm scared. Like, I'm scared, man. I'm scared. Like, I did, I'd say, like, as I said, it's been life-changing since SAS because it's like, these things that I would do before, for example, like rowing or doing a weight challenge or something, is nothing in comparison to jumping out of a speeding boat and climbing up a helicopter or doing a cat climb across a 60 meters up on a cliff face.
Yeah.
And I'm scared of heights, and that gave me the bravery to, on my birthday, I flew a plane, which was an insane experience. I actually did the full takeoff. Like, that was insane and unexpected.
And how long did you have to prepare for that?
Like 1 second, the guy's like, all right, I'm going to get you to do the takeoff today. Okay, sorry, that's not how he sounded if he hears this.
Captain speaking.
He's like, no, first of all, I was in the pilot seat, so I'm in the left. This guy's in co-pilot seat on my right. And he's like, all right, so we've had plenty of time during a briefing that he could have told me I'd be doing the takeoff. But we're on the runway, we're moving. And I'm like, yeah, just getting ready for him to do the takeoff. And then he's like, all right, so I want you to push this to full power. He's like, I'm going to get you to do the takeoff, all right? And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, no. Like, that's my inner dialogue is just, no. he's like, I want you to push this to full power and then just bring back, I had a joystick. He's like, no, just bring this back. And I'm like, I'm going to die. We're going to die. And then, took off into the air. Then he's like, right, now I want you to fly over here. And I'm like, no, you fly. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah. And it's a very light aircraft. There's plenty of turbulence, especially in the beginning. Yeah. That was just an insane experience. I would never have done that, I don't think, if I didn't go through SAS and kind of working on my feeling of being at a high level as a human.
Showing what you're capable of. And that's one of the things that I love about seeing those things where people, like, they call it a crucible, like you're going through your crucible moment of you actually find out how strong you are or how much you can push. And it's so much further than people think that they're capable of. And they want to quit 50 times before they actually, it's like, well, you're still there, you're still going, you've made it this far, like, just keep going, like, you're almost there. And it's like, wow, say in the SAS Australia selection course, I think in the third stage of it, they do the Happy Wanderer section where they've got a sort
That's kind of why I did the 70K as well. I'm like, it's good practice.
So there's 3 different stages with the selection course in the traditional sense, but the third and the final section is they sort of send you out on your own. They give you 5 mountains that you have to scale, get to the top of. You meet the commanding instructor up there and check in with him, and then you get on to the next one. And they're hundreds of kilometers apart, in the middle of say Western Australia somewhere. And it's like you get up to the top, and the commander's like, okay, on to your next one. Where you go. And
no feedback on how you're going.
Yeah.
You don't know how you're going. Yeah. So you might pace yourself incorrectly.
Yep.
You've got your huge pack with you. You've got your rations. So you got a ration.
Yeah.
Don't know how I'd go with that one.
Yeah.
I found it quite interesting because doing my 70K, which was incredibly painful after about 50K. That's when my knee went. I was taking my shoes off. I would try and set myself distances, but the whole time I was thinking about Happy Wanderer and how would I go on that and how would that be. One thing I thought was when I got towards the end and I was going through the city, kind of Anzac Highway, there was a lot of traffic lights and they were annoying me because I was like, I have to stop. Like, you just want to keep moving. You just need to keep moving because you're in so much pain. You're like, if I stop, I stop.
I'm going to feel the pain more.
Tired. Yeah, this is like 11 hours in. I want to go to sleep. It's 1 a.m. I just can imagine, the differences and, how it would feel. And
actually, I think it's the second part. It's Happy Wanderer, and then they do a third part where the instructors dress up like, instructors dress up like Iraqi soldiers or something, and they'll put on terrible fake accents. And so you did it. Well, there's a great SBS documentary, We Were Warriors or Search for Warriors or something.
Oh, I love that show.
So good. But there's a classic moment in there, which, I've gone back and watched this bit so many times. There was like a sort of a cocky Australian guy that was going through the course, and he was a bit of a jokester or whatever. And the commanding officer had like a turban thing. It was very badly dressed and putting on a terrible accent, And the moment was he would bring in somebody and get them to give him a plan, like how they were going to attack a certain radio tower or something like that. Then you'd get 5 minutes to figure out your plan, and he'd come back and you'd tell him the plan or whatever. Anyway, this cocky guy has gone in, and I'm going to do the bad accent because he's like, oh, Australia, come here, you know, here, yeah, okay, so this is the plan, right? We got the map here and the way here, and this is the radio tower here. We going when you want to attack this radio tower, right? I give you 5 minutes, you come back, you tell me the plan, okay?
I remember this. Yeah, go on.
And then like the guy's like, okay, yeah, cool. And then he comes back, and the instructor comes back 5 minutes later. He's like, okay, Australia, tell me the plan. And the guy's like, all right, so we're going to push up here. We're going to attack that area there. We're going to, sort out this communication. We're going to take that out before they can send a message. And the commanding officer like stares at the plan, stares at the guy for like a second, and the accent just disappears. And he's like, that is the worst plan I've ever heard. He's like, you didn't even ask me any questions. He goes, you didn't even ask me any details. You don't know. There's 5,000 men there. You're going to walk all your guys into an ambush. They're all dead. You just killed everyone in your crew. You moron. Get out of here. Like, it was like, oh,
they pulled him
Jesus.
off. Did they pull him off?
He got eliminated fairly fast
Yeah.
after that. It wasn't immediately.
Because he didn't ask any questions. I thought.
Yeah, because that was the thing. It was like, okay, yeah, Australia, give me the plan. You give me the plan. This is what we do.
Yeah.
And then he was supposed to go, well, hang on, what's the outlay, but because of the way he framed it, it was like, no, you tell me a plan, and it was like, no, you didn't ask the questions, dude. You don't know what you're walking into. And he's like, there's 5,000, you just killed everyone in your crew, mate. Like, yeah.
And was there anything like that going on in SAS? Were there any bad accents, for instance?
No bad accent. I mean, aside from the entire group of DS, that's what made me laugh, actually, even though they edited it slightly different, was their joking and their accents were absolutely awesome and so funny. Like Ant saying, "Are you having a fucking ginganguli?" Like that's exactly what he sounded like. He's like, "Can you keep the noise down? Are you having a fucking ginganguli?" Like what? Who the fuck says ginganguli?
Yeah, what is
like
that?
that's gonna make me laugh, especially when it's Ant Middleton. Like, I was fucking laughing. Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry, guys.
Apart from
I
Ant
need to
Middleton's
go.
accent,
I'm out. I'll be back. I need a bathroom break.
Yeah, sure. No, that's all right.
We're talking for so long, jeez. And then I got to head to the gym.
Yeah, yeah.
What's the time? Is it getting
6:30.
late? Oh, shit.
Yeah. All right.
We'll go back to that as we go.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I've got to get going soon
of
too.
the year. It's the Island Boy. Dave. Oh, man.
This episode of the Daily Combat Podcast is brought to you by New Finish. New Finish is not a wax, but a space-age polymer formula that looks better and lasts longer. Here's proof. We took this weather-beaten old car and put it through a car wash 52 times. And look, the water still beads.
Wow, somebody practiced that. That was very nice.
Did you like that?
That was good. Yeah, it's like, welcome to the disclaimer. That's right, the disclaimer. This American apple pie institution known as parental discretion will cleanse any sense of innuendo or sarcasm from the lyrics, which might actually make you think, and will also insult your intelligence at the same time. So if it offends you, just don't listen to it. Yeah.
Have you ever rented a video that wasn't quite right? Perhaps it was a fake or a pirated copy.
Yeah, that's
Pirated. What was it? Pirated movies cost the Australian film industry billion. No, I don't think they had billions of dollars. But
Billions of
millions of dollars.
Or Bitcoin.
Yeah. Every year.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's why we're stuck with Hugo Weaving.
Oh, that's gold. Yeah. Man, yeah. I still remember a lot of the scripts and stuff from scenes and monologues and all the rest that I had to do. It just pops in your head every now and then.
Yeah. You
Like, why
repeat
am I
something so
remembering
often
that?
in your own mind.
Yeah,
Yeah, or you
absolutely.
hear something. Yeah.
It's hard when, say,
It becomes embedded.
yeah. I always prefer it when, say, you've got an acting job and it's like, here's the audition. We want you to come in an hour and do it. I always prefer that over we want you to do it in 3 weeks. Because then you're thinking about it nonstop for 3 weeks and it's like, and you've done that scene a billion fucking times and like day and night and you can't stop thinking about it, and then it's like that pressure that you're under the whole time leading up to it, and it's by the time you actually get there, you're like, for fuck's sake, I just want to do it and then walk away and forget this thing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It stays with you.
Oh.
Have you ever had to do an accent? Have you ever had to do it? Like,
yeah.
Which ones? Or
American,
which one?
American
An American accent.
Yeah, it was
Do you remember the lines?
I do.
Yeah.
It was a play called Superstar.
It's very warm here in Adelaide right now,
that's
so
right.
that's why he's not warming up.
No, that's right.
For
What
seated
come back?
rows. She It's not a lat activation exercise. That was just making sure that we can continue to breathe. So
it was
American
it
accent.
was
It was an North American specific North American accent.
my North American accent is very generalized. It doesn't have any specific region because I try to just keep it like something where no one can go, okay, that's definitely this. It's
I've walked back into the podcast and Matt has turned into an American.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Do you have an accent, like for any of your acting
I
gigs?
don't know. I don't know.
It sounds like you've got a mixed martial arts accent from 1978.
I'm sure I do.
I don't know.
I do, because I tell you what, you know who I am? Well, I don't know either, but I tell you. I can punch. I can wrestle.
I can run 70. Well, run walk. I can run walk.
I can make
70
it rock.
kilometers.
I will make it rock you.
I can run and walk 70 kilometers straight.
Hello,
I
my
am
friend.
soldier.
Yeah, but you've heard
Where do I live?
French Foreign Legion.
I would love to join the French Foreign Legion. I have looked
Really?
into it on multiple occasions. Unfortunately, not available for women. I've also looked into other
No women.
forces.
No women allowed.
There's not many options.
Really?
No.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Because if you're in for 5 years, you get a new identity as a French citizen.
Yeah. Any
I
identity
do
you
know
want.
a Legionnaire.
I'd become Jean-Claude Van Damme if I could. Yeah.
I don't speak French, but I can laugh in
I'll do a
French.
sidekick.
Oh, escargot. Fromage. Fromage.
So do you want to be a soldier now?
Fromage.
Fromage. That's yeah.
So do
No
you want to be a
comment.
soldier though?
No comment.
Okay.
comment.
So it's maybe an ambition there. It's something's been sparked there. I feel in my
Perhaps.
in deep down in my subcockle region. I feel
In what?
my subcockles.
I don't know what that is.
Don't go any further.
Here from
Is
around
that the
here.
popcorn machine? when
Keep
what's
it
his
G-rated.
name? What's the guest that we had? Steve Maxwell. Steve Maxwell.
Oh, he said
Steve
something.
Maxwell.
When he said the testicular massage.
Oh my
It's
god!
testicular massage.
I know. Do you know how hard I was trying not to laugh? I was like,
Yeah, absolutely.
But he says it
I
so
was
matter of
laughing.
factly, like you should expect
Yeah.
to hear those words
He
together.
said it naturally,
Yeah.
very naturally. It's a meditation, and the sunrise.
You got to do the
and-
meditation and the testicular massage straight after.
And you were nodding like, oh yeah. I was,
Yeah, I was
in
like-
fucking
I was-
hysterical.
Well, I do it.
laughing.
I do it. That's the difference.
Rory was
I
laughing.
can't just
I
talk
was
about something else right now. Let's
I
go back to
couldn't stop
SAS
that.
or I'm leaving.
There's a specific brush for it. So,
Oh, God.
So Steve,
Don't.
Steve recommends.
Just stop.
this-
I'm going to vomit.
This
I'm going
implementation.
to fucking vomit.
It's a horse
Fuck this. I got to go. My
It's a
fucking
horsehead.
my fucking lawn.
horsehair brush.
My bed linen is in the washing machine and it's not going to have time to dry.
Well, let's wrap
You
this
haven't
up.
answered the question, the soldier question.
She
Said
doesn't.
no comment.
No comment because
I would.
I would have guessed secret agent. So we can
Yeah.
read into that whatever we want.
ASIO is
I
the
will-
third
There's a
person.
reason you never know where Izzy is. Spiders on.
right.
Finally, someone understands.
Yeah, no, hang on.
Look, what I will say is through my experiences in the last 12 months, it's come to my attention what strengths and skill sets I have.
Yeah.
Pull-ups.
Yes. I can do pull-ups and I'm happy with my ability to train at those. And I would love to be in a career where I'm serving a greater purpose with good camaraderie, a family, a sense of family there, that where I can utilize those strengths and those skill sets. So I can't wait for that to happen. And when it does, and for when I'm able to talk about it, that's going to be great.
Well, Izzy, I actually thought as you were saying those words, you were referring to the Daily Combat podcast. But
I thought Cole's supermarket.
it's always good to be part of a team.
Well, actually, funny you say that. Yes. So
Shout out to all the essential workers.
can I go back to my pull-up story now
Sure.
before I head on?
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Where were we on?
You were doing pull-ups.
You're Sarah Connor.
I don't know how you're going to cut
the
this.
beam.
You got the beam.
Right, all right. Let me just wrap this
yeah.
up real quick.
So,
Yes,
okay,
because
so
you
let's set
made
the
me
scene.
bloody tell you the whole Mark Wahlberg story.
For the
Okay,
whole
let's
thing,
go.
we digress down Mark
The
living as a
listeners are
day,
probably gone
24
to bed
day.
by now. I reckon.
Tell us about Mark Wahlberg.
So Mark Wahlberg, we got through day in the life of Mark Wahlberg. You're at you're smashed. You're on top of a table. There's a parallel beam that's got maybe let's say loose wood fragments that may permeate the skin if indeed gripped incorrectly. You're looking at this bar thinking, yeah.
I wish we could have like I wish we could have a dramatization in the background of this.
If this was Channel 7 in 1987,
like a current
that'd be
affair.
really bad reenactment.
Yeah, current affair. Reenactment. I would love that. Anyway,
And it'd be like a slightly less attractive version of yourself in a jumpsuit that's very ill-fitting because it came out of a wardrobe from like, you know, a Home and Away or something like that.
Yeah.
And then, and then something horrible would happen. There'd be a scream in the background. You wouldn't be quite sure what had happened. So, but you jump, so go for it. You're in a jumpsuit, so you jumped. Is that how it worked?
so I jumped.
Yeah, you jumped.
I don't feel like we're gonna have the suspenseful music. So I jumped.
Can always be edited.
I jumped from the table to the beam. Now the beam, to me and my friend looks just like it's at the back of this building.
Sturdy.
But very sturdy. Now it's at the back of a building, right? Anyway, so I go.
Is it holding anything up?
I'm fucking setting a timer for this. So there is, I go to do a pull-up. I do my first pull-up. I'm like, great. I do my second pull-up, do my third pull-up. I don't know how many pull-ups I did, multiple. What can I say? Anyway, then
The
I'm
crowd's
here.
chanting 18, 19.
That's exactly what happened.
Oh, really?
A huge crowd started going.
Oh!
Little did I know that what I was doing, the pull-up, was in front of a giant dark mirror. So for me, it was mirror, but on the other side was the building with about 100 Adelaide people sitting on like huge, those like Hogwarts style tables drinking, and I was at the very end, like this window here, the internet girl doing pull-ups. So they were all like cheering.
Oh, the entertainment's here.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Pull-up
And
girls here.
yeah, and what happened was someone who was
Could be a
inside
world record.
took a video and took photos. Now that went on Shit Adelaide, the Instagram page.
Wow.
Then get this, the ABC News
Yeah.
found a photo of me doing a pull-up taken from that view. So you've got like half the crowd there watching me, and you've got my friend filming me.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they used that photo in this article about drunk and disorderly behaviour. And the caption was, the caption goes, "A woman does pull-ups."
Yeah.
A woman doing pull-ups.
How dare you?
That was the caption. A woman doing pull-ups.
She
and I
must
was
be
like,
drunk.
I was like, whoa, a woman
Whoa.
doing a pull-up.
Whoa.
Obviously under the influence.
Yeah, shut it down. Shut that down.
And that was like,
very
it's like a
ladylike.
huge,
That's
yeah,
right.
it's like this,
What is she, Sarah Connor?
yeah, it's like this. So this is next to a man like urinating in public. Is me
Right.
doing a pull-up on
Yeah.
a bar, and I can't
Disorderly,
see the
yeah.
similarity
It's
in
definitely
those two
disorderly.
activities.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that
I-
was my first pull-up story.
I did deal with. Yeah, yeah. Right.
I loved it.
I'm glad I brightened up your day with that. Yeah, I'm glad.
Is it still on Shit Adelaide, or is that?
I'm not sure. I blocked them.
Oh, did you?
How dare they? How dare they insult
How
me
dare
like
they?
that?
How dare they?
Dare they come into my land?
That's right.
Fuck them up with Putin.
That's right. Do you do an accent, Dave, at all?
I do all the accents.
All of them, all at once.
Well, sometimes all in the same sentence.
Have you done any sort of film and TV work where
None.
it's none? Okay, but yeah, okay, all right. Well, I'll just end that sentence. But you've done a lot of your own stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I had my own army, and so I did my own SAS in entrance. Yeah, it was
Smoke.
really good.
There was a fog machine.
No,
There was
I
a
don't do
remote
anything.
control
I can
helicopter.
see you doing that.
Yeah.
But the hardest thing you did on SAS.
the hardest thing I did was, and it is a shame that they didn't show it because it was something I'm so proud of, and that was the Casualty evacuation drill. And I spent a great deal of time carrying the stretcher because we had one of our teammates, he's very fit, you know, could outrun me easily, like, you know, was definitely one of the fittest in terms of cardiovascular, could run for miles, had legs on him, but he didn't have grip strength. Everyone has strengths and weaknesses, and I think, you know, the thing is, to me, like, the whole thing was working as a team and, you know, and balancing out their strengths and weaknesses, which is what I do like about team sports in comparison to the individual ones I've done. And so unfortunately in this task there were 4 of us, and we had to carry one person on the stretcher. Now, so one of my teammates didn't have much grip strength, so he just physically couldn't, but he definitely gave it his best, but he couldn't hold it much. And my other teammate was 44, and he admits himself he wasn't in shape and he wasn't ready, so he didn't have the cardiovascular and he couldn't hold on for that long. Yeah. So I do have grip strength. I do have strength
and endurance.
And and I was holding men, like I was with big guys. Like this guy who's, you know, he's 44, he's a big guy, you know. And Luke is an he was drafted ex-AFL player, big guy. And even, you know, Mitch would probably be, you know, he's a guy who's like, you know, taller than me, 6 foot something, you know. And for all of us as a joint team as well, we were pushed to our absolute limit, but I was destroyed, and I absolutely destroyed myself carrying. And it was, I think it may be hard for some people to appreciate this, not being there and also not having done everything else in the previous days. But at that point, that would have been my breaking point. I was physically and mentally fatigued to the point that when I just remember at one point I was carrying, towards the end, I was carrying Luke. I think I was carrying him with Mitch or maybe Gary. I think it was probably Gary, the 44-year-old. He was, you know, able to hold a bit more. And so he was behind me. And in my head, I was saying to myself, my inner dialogue was, Luke is dead. You've got to carry him to the end. He is dying. He is dead. Just keep going. Just keep going. I think it was, eventually it was like, he's dead. And I felt that he was dead. My mind was telling me that he was dead. Because I'm in that fatigued state, you believe it. And also the instructor that we had Billy, and Billy was yelling, you know, they make you feel like it's real. So I felt in my head that my teammate is dead. And also I had a great friendship on the show, and I still have a great friendship with everyone, but like with Luke, I felt very close to him on the course, and I felt like he was dead, and that was fucked. That was absolutely fucked. And when we finished that, I was really, really cold. I was freezing. I was begging everyone for their jackets. Everyone else was boiling. In the footage, the first time I saw myself back, they only showed 2 seconds of my face, and I am covered in sweat. Wow. Everyone was saying, you need to see the paramedic, you need to see the paramedic. And I'm like, I was like, nah, like, you know, I don't know what's going on. There was a funny interaction with Ant after that where he was like encouraging me to get help, you know. I did end up seeing them, and they said it was shock. So it was pretty much shock. Wow. I went into shock. And I believe the reason I went into shock was believing I was carrying a dead friend. Like, imagine right now that you think you're carrying dead Dave, or you think you're carrying dead Matt. And you really, it's not just you saying that, you really believe it. And I really, really, truly believed it. And, I can see it in my face. So they showed a really brief interaction after that bit. And it was Mitch saying, like, oh, sorry, guys. Like, I just, you know, I couldn't. Like, I did the best I could. I sucked at that. I'm really sorry. And I look at him, and it's just my face. You know, I'm like covered in coal. I'm covered in sweat, and I look destroyed. You can just see it. And I say to him, oh, don't worry, Mitch, I know you did your best. But just the way I said it, like, it's just like, I'm like, don't worry, mate, I know you did your best. And it's like, and what got me, like, and I am grateful in a way that they didn't show that bit after that, because that's probably the most destroyed you know, even after anything else, like even after a 70K, I haven't been mentally that destroyed because it made me feel that's what my family went through, talking about like what, you know, the Europeans, what Jordan said. I was about to call him Geordie. I don't even know if he goes by that nickname, but what Geordie was saying
Maybe you will
before,
now.
Yeah, we call him Geordie. I like that. Geordie was saying before, like, you know, Europeans did go through that. My family did go through that. And that's what I was thinking about. I was thinking about my grandma. I was thinking about my, you know, my nono, and I didn't get much time. I didn't get, you know, any time with some of my family members, and I wish I had. But I always believe they're watching me. I always believe they're there for sure. And they were definitely there when I was doing SAS.
They'd be proud of you
Oh,
as well.
thank you. And when I did that, I was, after that, I was just thinking about them. I was just thinking like, fuck. Yeah, I was like, even going back to that moment of sitting in that car, I was like, gone. Like, I just can't even explain. Like, I've been to hospital, you know, like plenty of times, you know, I've been physically, you know, ill, but nothing was like that. I don't think anything is like that. They really, like, if I bring myself back to that moment, that was complete gone. And, so sorry, that was the absolute hardest thing. That was the hardest thing of SAS, I'll say, was that. Yeah. And that night, I remember thinking to myself, you know, if we have another bee sting tonight, how am I going to do it? There was never a moment when I thought I'm going to quit.
Yeah.
That wasn't an option. That was just, it's not an option. But I remember thinking, how am I going to get through? Like, how am I going to do it? I was thinking about all the, like, obviously all my close ones, thinking about the people who were up there watching me. And luckily for me, that night there was no bee sting because, you know, one of my teammates was just so dead. They left in the middle of the night, and because of that, they didn't have to eliminate someone. So luckily for me, I do wonder, you know, how would I have gone? But, you know, I still had to do the things, you know, everything else. And then I was 1 hour away from it at the end, and I think that would, sorry, that's a long answer, but
that's good, yeah.
Yeah, I would say that was the hardest thing. And I think what made it hard was obviously the physical toll of carrying, like knowing, like it was, you know, carrying guys like, you know, like you guys, you know, I can carry you. I now know.
Thank
you know,
God.
Yeah.
You know, if you
could come in handy.
If there's a war right now, you're
cool.
wounded.
You and I are all right.
Yeah.
Thank
I've got
God
you,
for
but
Izzy.
I would never have thought I could carry guys. That was something that stopped me, like when I was younger and interested in the army and interested in the military when I was straight out of school. I was actually medically unfit because of a green stick fracture from running, from running too far and overtraining with no coach and all that before I knew.
Doesn't sound like you. Yeah.
Does not sound like me at all. But yeah, that was definitely something I was concerned about. And even like females in the military is a really interesting thing, and especially with the army and all that, and different cultures, it's very interesting how they approach it. But I had limitations on myself that weren't they're not my limits.
Yeah.
I'm not. That's not a limit.
Yeah.
You know, I know that was a limit I thought I had. You know,
So good.
What a great lesson for anybody that's wondering whether or not they've pushed themselves before and where their limits might lie. It seems to be that they're always beyond where perhaps you might presuppose.
Oh, fuck yeah, they are. Absolutely, everyone. I wish everyone would. I think that's such a thing. Even like, I wish everyone had that opportunity and would do that, because I mean, life is so short. We do not know when we're going to go. We've got no idea how much time we have. Like, I feel like I'm on borrowed time, you know? So I'm always like, everything I do, I got to do it.
Yeah.
And who knows where our limits are. So, yeah.
And
I would
wouldn't-
encourage everyone to do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We've never found that rock bottom moment without that experience. And
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, nah. And also, like, it's very spiritual as well. I think it's a very spiritual thing. And I think something that's come across in my reading or something was talking about different intelligence, and they actually now consider spiritual intelligence as a thing, and being in touch with kind of like whether it's spiritual or religion and all that. And I think when you're absolutely to that level destroyed. Yeah, and that's what they do. I mean, it's interesting because most militaries worldwide have this thing where to build a recruit, they destroy them.
Yeah.
Usually they don't destroy them to that extent. And you know, and some militaries might be softer than others, but it's interesting because my belief would be that is a good way to build someone up. But, obviously, there's lots of research into trauma and, Full Metal Jacket. Like, you don't want to break people down in that way. I think you want to break people down in a way that you've pushed them past their limits. And that's what brings the strength, because you say to yourself, whoa, I just did that. Like my teammate Kelly, when we climbed into a helicopter and we're both like, how did we survive that?
Yeah.
That's what builds your strength, as opposed to, crushing you in a way that's like, spiritually being like, putting someone down. That's not the right way to do it in the military. I'd say it's to push their limits, and that's the way to do it.
Your greatest growth is on the other side of your discomfort. And that may be just a wonderful way to end today's podcast, I think. So thank you to both of you. I don't know why I'm thinking you actually.
Well, thank me.
You're kind of meant to be here.
I sat here.
Well, I'm going to get the official gavel.
Are we going to call it away?
Gavel.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the official ending of today's podcast. So thanks so much for joining us. Any sponsors you want to mention before we go away?
I'd like to mention my dream sponsors. No, never mind.
How about the watch people?
Sunto. Awesome sponsor.
Shout out
Thank
to Sunto.
you.
Sunto are awesome.
They are.
We know that it works for at least how many hours
70
did you run?
Ks.
70 Ks. So
Works 12 hours.
12 hours.
Real Estate Agents Group. We're going to have to mention them.
They sell houses.
Yeah,
apparently.
yeah.
You do some auctions and stuff like that. So if
over 100 years of experience combined.
Combined, and that's just between me and one other guy. Just amazing. Water sponsors. Do we have a water sponsor this week? No. Scotch sponsor for this episode.
Do you want me to break that
Glenn Dronick. Glenn Dronick. If you can pronounce it, you can drink it.
That's right.
Anything else? Have we got anything else?
No.
Thank you, Channel 7, because without you, we'd have no content for today's podcast.
There you go.
So thank you very much to everybody for joining us once again on the Daily Combat Podcast. We'll look forward to bringing you more next time.